I have been in the military since 1997. I joined after college, went Ranger and infantry, and went SF after that.
Shortly after Travis and I got married, he expressed an interest in going into the dog team at Special Forces. And it was kind of this new team that they were developing. He went through all the dog training and he got assigned bear. And so what they went through overseas and going to war together, I don't even know how to explain it really. It's just a very unique bond.
He was every bit a war hero. Like he was everything that a Green Beret needed to be. He had a huge impact on my life. He had a huge impact on my family's life. When I left active duty and was still deploying as a contractor, it was kind of a dark time, Luckily, through the chain of command, they let me retire him. He just wouldn't work for anybody else.
I think it was probably the best thing for Travis. When he was deploying and he had Bear to come home to, it seemed like the transitions were much easier. And he had Bear, so Bear was his dog, and they would go out and do things and kept him very active. He could help him handle crowds and not be as short-tempered.
To have this dog who was the best attack dog overseas, the best offensive, defensive, bomb-finding, tracking dog we had, who changed his whole demeanor when he moved into my home with me and became there for us as a family. That's what I want now for veterans. Second Chance Canine, we started it to honor him.
Just hang out right there. The dogs that I find, they were either abused, neglected, and I teach them how to work for a veteran. I find a guy, from my community that's hurting or whatever that guy's issues are, and I pair those two up.
Our community is very team-oriented, and we're very tight. So by placing a dog with some of these guys, what we're doing is we're creating a small team. We're creating this situation where this veteran has to be the leader, and he has to step up.
And so what I kind of do is put these guys back in the team environment. The soft community deploys with Belgian Malinois, German Shepherds, and Dutch Shepherds. And so I work with those dogs because I know them really well.
This is us, this is Second Chance Canine. It's in our home.
Cool. So, hello. I'm going to just give a quick introduction of myself. My name is Sam Lara. I am the chapter lead for the Utah chapter of the Veterans and Supporters Employee Resource Group. I've been with Dell for about 5 years and super excited to speak with Travis Hall, former K9 handler for the U.S. Army. Thank you so much for being with us, Travis.
Oh man, I'm super excited. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So just wanted to see if you could give us a quick introduction of yourself and we'll get started.
So yeah, I'll just keep it to the dog handler stuff since that's what we're kind of talking about. I'm a former Special Forces dog handler. I'm actually one of the first 12 guys in the Special Forces world to get a dog. I grew up in San Diego. I didn't have much interaction with dogs, but I wanted to stay on a team longer, so they offered me the dog, and I jumped on it, and I did 4 deployments with my dog.
That's awesome. So how old were you when you joined the military?
I was actually a little bit older. I had just graduated college, so I was 24. I actually turned 24 in basic training, so it was kind of a later in life decision. I just didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I didn't want to be a high school teacher. And so I jumped on some adventure and some hanging out. It was I had some mentors, some military mentors, mostly from the Navy, because I grew up in San Diego, California. But, they just kind of directed me and helped me to make decisions that would set me up for a really successful career.
Man, that's so awesome. Mentors, obviously, so important. And guiding you through your career and everything. We obviously have them here, but what were kind of some of the things that your mentor guided you through as far as making your decisions as to go into, you mentioned special operations. So,
well, he definitely started me on the right path, instead of becoming something that wouldn't lead to a special forces career. He set me up to choose, an MOS that would give me the foundation become a good Green Beret, you know. And so as a special forces guy, as a Green Beret, you know, there's things that you need to do, you know, and there's education that you need to get so that you can be successful in your job. Leadership is a big one, you know, being able to be a solid leader, and not only just being a solid leader, but being a really good follower. It just teaches you that humility and that ability to let the person that's in charge be in charge until it's time for you to step up and be in charge. And so I think by setting me up as like an 11 Bravo or Ranger, put me on that path, you know, and it gave me a really good foundation in, you know, land navigation, how to patrol in the woods, how to sleep on the ground, you know, like the things that kind of suck, you know. And it just made me a better, it made me better as a Green Beret when I was going through training. And then when I got to, you know, fifth Special Forces, it made me better in that I already knew how to do a lot of the things that some guys had to kind of pick up along the way.
That's so awesome. I love hearing that story about, you know, finding your path and getting put in the right direction. Super important, I think. You mentioned deployments. How many deployments have you been on?
So in total, both contracting and active duty, I've done 18 deployments. So 7 deployments to Iraq, 10 deployments to Afghanistan, and 1 deployment to Africa.
That's awesome. How many of those deployments did you have your canine with you?
So only 4 of them. So 4 of the 7 deployments for my active duty Special Forces time, I took a dog with me, and so I had a dog with me. You know, we were a team. He was my best friend. He was everything, you know, and he was one of the best dogs we had in the program at the time, and he showed it every single day. He also retired to me when I left active duty.
That's awesome. What was the canine's name?
His name was Bear. His true name was Ferris, but then it got shortened somehow to Ferry. And then he had a docked tail, so my kids couldn't say Ferris or Ferry very well, so they ended up calling him Bear because he looked like a giant bear.
That's so awesome. That's such a cool story about him. So four deployments with Bear, all of them with Bear, right?
Yeah, all of them with Bear. He was the only. I ran different dogs in training, but you know, the things that we were asking a Special Forces dog to do were well and above what a normal canine could do. It's almost like they were, you know, if 100 people, there was a song that says if 100 people test today, only 3 are going to win the Green Beret, you know, and it's kind of the same thing with the dogs, you know. Out of, you know, dozens and dozens of looking at dogs and testing dogs and stuff, it takes that special dog to be able to do the tasks that we were asking them to do. Bear was a bite, a bomb, and a tracking dog. So he could apprehend people, he could find bombs, and he could track people, equipment, stuff like that. So he was a really great dog, and he was really, really good at all 3 of his tasks.
That's awesome. And what type of dog was Bear?
He's gone now. He passed away from old age. He was a little bit of a mix. The breeder that we got him from overseas liked to inject a lot of Belgian Malinois and just a tiny little bit of German Shepherd. So he's what we called, we still call him that, a dirty Malinois, where he's mostly Mal, but he's just got a sprinkle of like something else in there.
That's awesome. So I guess fast forward to now, are you still involved with military canine?
Not with military canines. I'm in the Guard now. We don't have an active canine program, but I do a lot of the training that when it comes down to either medical training or, you know, exposure training with the Guard guys as far as canines go. But I do participate. I keep active in the canine world by running a rescue that we started and founded called Second Chance Canine. Its legal name is Second Chance Canine Service Dogs, and so that's how I stay pretty active in the dog world.
That's amazing, and it's a great way for you to give back as well, right?
Oh, it's 100%. We're a nonprofit based in Tennessee, and what we do is we just find our number one goal is to repurpose military dogs that are either retired or failed out of their program. And so rather than them just kind of getting neglected and possibly lost in the system, we adopt those dogs in and we turn them into service dogs for veterans. There's not a lot of those. Most people that retire their dogs want to keep their dogs. So we help those guys transition their dogs from military dogs to service dogs. You know, we help them with training, and we help them with all of their medical, appointments and mental health stuff to get the dog as their service dog. The majority of the dogs that we do are rescues. So there's a lot of movies and a lot of really cool things that the Malinois breed is doing right now. But what people don't understand is that there's thousands and thousands of hours that go into those dogs. And it's just, so they're getting these dogs, they kind of don't understand them, and they become nuisance animals to them. They basically destroy their homes, destroy their backyards. And we kind of scoop in, bring that dog to us, give them a purpose. Malinois definitely need a job. They're one of those dogs that it has to have a task in front of it. Otherwise, they can become very destructive. And so we do that. We give them the job that they need.
Man, it sounds like there's a lot that goes into it, taking care of the dogs. Can you tell us a little bit about like how much goes into it, like cost and
Oh yeah,
absolutely, day to day and all that?
Well, and so I've got Ragnar here with me. Ragnar, we just adopted, and he's kind of like a different case. He's not our average, but we rescued Ragnar from the local shelter, and he has really, really bad cataracts. And so the very first thing we do is we bring our dogs in and we do like a solid 10-day evaluation on them. We're evaluating their behaviors, we're evaluating their medical needs. And from there, that's when we decide if we're going to make it a rescue and just adopt it to a family, or if we're going to make it a service dog. And Ragnar is just amazing. He's so good. But he has cataracts. So he's 90% blind in one eye and like 30% blind in the other. And so we were able to raise the money to get his cataracts removed so that he can continue the program. Ragnar is going to be our most expensive dog. His cataract surgery is going to cost us about $7,000. It's about $3,500 per eye. But that's not the average. The average we spend about $500 to $1,000 just getting the dogs up to date on all their shots and healthy and fixed. We don't like backyard breeding. So we don't let any dogs go out of the program that aren't fixed, so that there's no chance of breeding.
That's so awesome. So speaking of the active duty canines, how would you say that the canines are, like, the importance of them to their handlers?
Oh my gosh. Canines themselves. So if you can imagine, before we had like the ability to run a dog in front of us when we were walking down roads, and just give us that peace of mind and that security that we're not going to walk across an IED, or we're not going to get blown up, and being able to put a dog in a house that's going to make sure, like, just kind of like give that house a solid clear before we start our way in. It's such an asset for the military. To not have these guys would, it would be detrimental to the military force in itself. I can tell you that my dog Bear, saved hundreds of lives. Like, he kept hundreds of people alive in his everyday tasks, whether it was keeping the bad guy from being able to get to his gun as we were entering the house, to making sure that the route we were on was safe and wasn't laden with bombs and trying to hurt us, or getting a bad guy off the street, tracking a bad guy through a bazaar or something and getting him off the street so that he can't hurt people later on, and it's all, man, it's such an important task for the military to have, and especially the special operations community. We had dogs that we were trying to run with, different Army units and stuff, but they just didn't know how to talk like we talk. They didn't know how to walk like we walk. So that's why the SOF community, or the special operations community, started to send their own handlers to these courses and to run dogs. me being one of the first guys to do that, it was a big learning curve. I had to pick up on things that I wasn't even aware that I was going to be learning in my SF career. But I was up for the challenge, and I'm truly grateful for my time as a dog handler.
Speaking of up to the challenge, what you kind of touched on it, but I wanted to get into it a little bit more. What drove you to getting into canine or handling? It
was completely kind of accidental. I was on a deployment with a dog, and I thought it was super cool. I had gotten back from that deployment, and it was actually time for me to go to the schoolhouse, which is dreaded. Nobody wants to go. You have to move your family. You have to, and so I didn't want to go to the schoolhouse. And I asked what do I have to do to stick around longer? And they said, hey, well, we need a dog handler on my team, and so I jumped at the opportunity, went through the dog handler courses, checked with my wife and was like, hey, this is what I want to do. Is this something that you're willing to support? And she was 100% into it. And we kind of went from there, and I'm so thankful that I did, because it really changed the trajectory of my life. I honestly don't, number one, I think Bear was my best friend in the world. And he changed my life even post active duty. He just made my life so much better. And I honestly don't think I'd be here without him, both deployed, in the deployment scheme of things and just in life, like a lot of guys are letting the things get to them. They're letting like our experiences overseas kind of weigh them down. And I think having that best friend that just kind of wants to hang out with you and listen to you no matter what you do or you're going through, it just kind of gets us operational, like former action guys, it gets us through the hard times.
Yeah, I could imagine just having another brother in arms there.
Yeah, 24/7, like we come from a very team oriented environment, being a Green Beret, I was on a team of 12 guys, and so you have your best friends on those teams. And Bear was definitely a team guy. He was all about being a team guy. He loved to be in that circle of people, and having him be able to come and retire with me is like having one of the guys on your team come live with you full time, and so that's our goal. When with the rescue that we run now, we're really trying to recreate that team environment, because we know our guys thrive in that team environment. We know they do so much better when they have someone who's watching their back. And that's kind of why we pick the dogs that we pick. We work with German Shepherds, Belgian Malinois, Dutch Shepherds, Czech Shepherds. We work with those high drive military style dogs because our guys have had their back watched for so many years by that dog. It might not be that exact dog, but they know for a fact that dog breed is going to watch out for them no matter what they're doing.
Yeah. And speaking of protecting or having your back, you would obviously have their back.
Oh, 100%.
So what kind of equipment is required for deployment, for instance, for a canine?
So it's actually pretty robust. You had to have like your deployable kennels, which are an air conditioned kennel unit that you could set up when you get to site, wherever you're going. And you set that up so that when you can't have the dog with you, he's in a controlled environment. It gets very hot in Iraq, and that's where I deployed with my dog. You've got to have your canine vest, the canine vests, a one that you can use for a military purpose run, anywhere from $1,500 to $3,000. You've got to have your eye protection for the dog. You've got to have your cameras so that when you're standing outside and you send a dog through a window, you can see what the dog is seeing. You've got to have your radio equipment on the dog so you can give it some sort of command from your standoff position. Just anything and everything you can think of, from toys to keep them happy to, dog food. When I was a dog handler, I was signed for about $300,000 worth of equipment that was solely
for
the dog. Yeah. I was signed for
one dog.
Yeah. One dog.
Whoa.
that's not even my equipment, that's just the dog's equipment. And I'm sure it varies between, like 150,000 to 200, but for me, for the cameras and all the equipment that we used, our dogs get a little bit spoiled, and so I was signed for about 300K worth of stuff, and then, on the other side of that, I had my personal issue, which was night vision and, guns and body armor and stuff like that.
Sure. Oh my goodness. I didn't realize that the costs were so high to maintain, a canine.
Oh man, it's the environment that you're going to. If you're going to that hot environment, a deployable kennel can cost $100,000, like a deployable kennel with like all of the air conditioning resources and stuff like that. It can by itself can be $100,000.
Man, well, so definitely important to raise money and funds to help out the canine units.
Oh, absolutely. And I like I said, I was a little bit spoiled being in the special operations world of canines, and because we were the first ones to do it, we kind of got to got to write a blank. It wasn't necessarily a blank check, but we did get, if we wanted something, it wasn't hard for us to get it because we were trying to stand up something brand new with no idea of, hey, that we need this or this isn't going to work and stuff like that. So, going from that special operations community, knowing how much I was spoiled to, saying a big Army unit or, a big Air Force unit that doesn't necessarily have that special operations budget. It's really important to outfit these animals correctly, because you're asking them to basically put their lives on the line for you. You're asking them to put it all on the line and do a job that it's to preserve us, and so I'm a big believer in overspending on the dogs rather than underspending.
Absolutely. Want to lighten the mood a little bit on this, ask you a little question about Bear.
Yeah.
Because that sounds like he was your favorite, right?
He is my favorite.
What was his favorite treat?
So Bear really, he was like a beef jerky guy. When he was in the Army, I was very strict on his diet, and I wanted him to be in tip-top shape. So I would give him like homemade beef jerky that I knew could keep him healthy and not make him sick or anything like that. So that was in active service. In retirement, pizza crust was his favorite treat. So he definitely had like, he was like cream of the crop. I'm going to stay in as best shape as I can be, active duty time. And then he and I both kind of slacked off when we were out of active duty. And yeah, he loves some pizza crust.
Hey, that happens to all of us, right?
Right.
I know I could probably only do about 15 push-ups right now. Well, thank you so much, Travis. I really appreciate you taking the time. We have the video that you put together for your nonprofit. We're going to show it along with this video, and we'll have a link for folks to be able to access your website. If you want to give your website, that'd be cool.
Our website is just secondchancecanine.com. And we're like I said, we're a nonprofit based out of Nashville, Tennessee. We're grateful for everything and everyone that wants to come and help us. We're just trying to change the world one team at a time. We're blessed in that, like, our primary focus is the dogs, but we have this amazing secondary focus of the veteran, and I think it's like neck and neck. At one time we're trying to help a dog that's more in need, and then we get a veteran who really needs the help, and so we're kind of like, we really enjoy both. Like it's very satisfying. We have big goals. Like I have a set of goals in mind, and we're trying to reach those goals every day. One of my really good friends runs a company, and his motto is always better, and I've kind of like stolen that from him. And we're always trying to just be a little bit better.
Absolutely. And maybe one day I'll be able to make it out and help out with some of the canines.
Come on out, man.
Tennessee.
Yeah, we love having people come out and just hang out. We have 7 dogs in the program right now. So we have 2 in foster and 5 at our house. And so Dude, come on out, come play with dogs. I have,
I
we
will.
have, we have one puppy right now. We don't normally do puppies, but we have a puppy, and we have another puppy coming this summer. So,
But your kids are excited.
oh yeah, they're super stoked.
Nice. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you any longer. Thank you so much for doing this interview, and I really hope that in the future we'll be able to keep in touch and be able to help you out as well.
I love it. Thank you guys so much. I'm hugely honored that you guys would want to bring us and our nonprofit on board to talk to you about these veteran and canine issues. They're all near and dear to my heart. So whatever you guys need, let me know. I'm in 100%.
Sweet. Well, you stay safe, and thanks again, man. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you guys soon.
Okay. See ya. Bye.
Bye.